The legend of Serenya Oceara, the birth of a daughter of the sea. The ocean remembers everything. It remembers the rise of continents, the fall of empires, the first cries of newborns, and the last breaths of drowning kings. And somewhere in the abyss, where sunlight dies and shadows reign, a princess was born. Her name was Serenya Oceara, the daughter of the Sea King, ruler of all that breathed salt and tide. Her cradle was carved from coral, older than mountains. Her lullabies were sung by whales, whose voices shook the deep. The ocean itself bent to her presence, for she was not like the others. She was more than a mermaid. She was destiny wrapped in moonlight. Serenya's beauty was not merely in her shimmering tail, scaled like liquid silver, nor in her eyes, glowing blue like forgotten stars. It was in her presence, commanding, magnetic, untouchable. Wherever she swam, the currents obeyed. Wherever she gazed, even storms hesitated to rage. Yet beneath the crown she was born to wear, Serenya carried a secret ache. For though she was the daughter of the sea, she longed for something beyond the horizon. Her heart was restless, her soul searching. Every night she would rise to the surface, her hair catching the glow of the moon, her voice humming songs that lured ships closer. But unlike the sirens of legend, Serenya did not hunger for blood. She hungered for connection, for something her ocean could not give. And it was there, at the fragile border between sea and land, that her destiny stirred. Part 2. The first encounter. The night the world changed for Serenya was no different from the thousands before. The moon, pale and swollen, stretched its silver light across the black sea. The waves whispered against the rocky shore, as if trading secrets too ancient for mortals to hear. Serenya rose from the depths, her hair cascading like a river of midnight pearls. She rested against a jagged stone, her arms glistening with droplets, her tail shimmering beneath the surface. She sang softly, her voice threading through the night air, not to lure, but to soothe the ache within her chest. And then she heard it, laughter, human laughter. It was light, unguarded, carrying across him, the waves like a spark in darkness. Serenya stilled. Her kind was forbidden to approach humans. Her father had made this law, with fury and blood. Humans were reckless, greedy, destructive. They stole from the sea and cursed its depths. Yet that sound pierced her like an arrow. She slid closer, hiding in shadow, until her gaze found him. On the shore stood a young man, firelight flickering across his face. His skin was bronze from sun and battle, his shoulders strong, his stance regal, yet unassuming. His hair caught the glow of the flames, and his eyes, even from a distance, held something she had never seen before, a longing that mirrored her own. He was no fisherman, no wanderer. He was a prince, the heir of the coastal kingdom, sworn enemy to the sea. Serenya's breath caught. She should have turned back. She should have fled beneath the waves, back to the safety of her father's realm. But she could not. Something invisible bound her to that moment, to him, the prince. His name, she would later learn, was Kalin. Lifted his gaze to the horizon, as though sensing he was not alone. Their eyes met. It lasted no more than a heartbeat, yet it felt like eternity. The daughter of the sea and the son of the shore, two worlds colliding in silence. Serenya's pulse thundered like a storm. She knew this was forbidden, dangerous, impossible. Yet in his eyes, she saw no fear, no hatred, only curiosity, only wonder. For the first time in her life, Serenya Oceara felt seen. The forbidden meetings, the Sea King's law was iron. Never cross into the world of men. Never let your heart betray the ocean. Serenya had heard it her whole life, thundered from her father's throne of black coral. But laws, no matter how fierce, crumble before the weight of desire. Every night, Serenya returned to the shore. At first, she only watched from the water, hidden by rocks and moonlight, as Kaelin walked alone. He carried no guards, no armor, only a sword at his hip and a lantern in his hand. His people called him reckless, but to Serenya, he was searching, just as she was. Then one night, the waves betrayed her. A sudden swell pushed her closer, her tail flashing silver under the moon. Kaelin's lantern froze upon her. Their eyes locked again. This time she did not flee. Kaelin stepped forward, his boots sinking into the wet sand, his breath sharp with disbelief. "Are you real?" he whispered. Serenya's voice trembled, soft, yet unearthly. Too real and too dangerous. And still, he reached out his hand. Her fingers brushed his. The touch sent lightning through her veins, a current stronger than any tide. She had touched coral, stone, and sea foam, but never flesh warmed by fire and blood. He, in turn, had touched countless hands, yet never one that felt like starlight, woven into skin. From that night on, they became each other's secret. Serenya rose from the waves, and Kaelin waited on the shore. They spoke of their worlds, of kingdoms above and below. He told her of burning cities, iron crowns, and wars waged for gold. She told him of leviathans that slumbered in the abyss, of pearl palaces guarded by currents, and of her father, who ruled with a heart of storms. Every word was a thread, weaving them closer. Every glance was a flame, burning away fear. But with each meeting, the risk grew sharper. The sea began to stir restlessly, sensing betrayal. Whales sang warning songs that echoed through the deep. Shadows moved in the water, spies of her father, watching. Still, Serenya could not stop. For the first time in her life, she felt alive. Kaelin's laughter broke the silence in her chest. His touch soothed the endless ache of belonging nowhere. With him, she was not just the daughter of the Sea King. She was a woman, free, wild, and wanted. But the ocean never forgives betrayal. And the deeper their love grew, the closer came the wrath of her father. A wrath no mortal kingdom could withstand. Part 4. The wrath of the sea. King the sea is never silent. It whispers, it groans, it remembers. For weeks, Serenya's secret swam through its currents like a rumor. Too heavy to remain hidden, whales hummed uneasily. Schools of silver, fish scattered at her passing. Even the coral seemed to close in around her, whispering of disobedience. And then the storm came. The waters darkened without warning. Waves rose higher than ships, curling with fury. Thunder cracked across the sky, lightning tearing through the horizon like the blade of an angry god. From his throne of obsidian coral, her father, King Serenya Oceara, summoned her. His crown of jagged shells glowed faintly, his trident sparking with electric blue. His voice was not loud. It didn't need to be. The ocean carried it everywhere. You crossed the border. Serenya trembled, her long hair clinging to her skin like seaweed. You only betrayed me. Thala thundered, his eyes black as the abyss. You touched the shore of men. You let one of them touch you. Do you know what you have done? Her voice cracked, but it did not falter. I have done nothing but love. The court gasped. Merfolk, generals, and sirens hissed from the shadows. Love was forbidden. Love was weakness. The Sea King rose from his throne, his rage pulling the tide higher with every breath. Love is a chain, and chains sink. He struck the ground with his trident. A shockwave rippled through the palace, shattering shells, quaking the seafloor. Somewhere above, on the surface. Ships capsized, and fishermen prayed to gods they couldn't see. But Serenya did not bow. For the first time in her life, she lifted her chin and met her father's fury with fire in her eyes. Then, "Let me sink," she whispered. "But I will not abandon him." Silence. A silence heavier than the sea itself. Her words were a declaration, not only to her father, but to the entire ocean. And the ocean responded. The currents shifted, the shadows thickened. Old powers stirred in the deep, waiting to see what the Sea King would do. Thala's face hardened, carved from salt and stone. "If you love the land, then you shall taste it. If you choose a mortal, then you will live as one." He raised his trident. Lightning surged. Serenya screamed as the magic tore through her body. Her shimmering tail split into fragile legs. Her scales fell away like dying stars. The water spat her out, helpless, onto the cold sand of the mortal shore. The last thing she heard before blacking out was her father's voice, cold and merciless. "Love will drown you." The mortal Bondorn broke over the horizon, spilling gold across the restless sea. The storm was gone, but its scars lingered. Broken masts, driftwood, and shattered nets littered the coast. Amid the wreckage, Kalen stumbled through the surf, his lantern long gone, his heart heavy with worry. He had not seen Serenya for nights, and the silence of the waves haunted him. Then he saw her. She lay upon the sand like a fallen star, her hair tangled with seaweed, her skin pale and wet. Her tail was gone, replaced by slender legs that trembled even in sleep. She looked fragile, breakable, nothing like the radiant sea daughter he had once known. "Serenya!" His voice cracked as he knelt beside her, pulling her into his arms. Her body was cold, trembling, as though the ocean had stripped her of warmth. Her eyes fluttered open. She saw him. And in that moment, despite the pain, she smiled. "Kalen!" He wrapped his cloak around her, shielding her from the morning chill. "What happened? Who did this to you?" Tears stung her eyes. "My father. He cast me out for loving you." Kalen's chest tightened with guilt. He pressed his forehead to hers. "Then let him rage. Let the sea hate me. I will keep you safe." But safety was a fragile dream. Serenya's new form came with torment. Every step on land was agony, as though knives pierced her feet. Nights were worse. The sea whispered to her, calling her back, dragging her dreams into drowning. Visions. Salt water burned her throat, though once it had sustained her. Kalen did all he could. He taught her to walk, his arms steady beneath hers. He disguised her as a foreign noblewoman, hiding her identity from courtiers who gossiped too freely. He built her fires when her body shook with cold. And every night, when she woke screaming from the sound of waves in her mind, he held her until the trembling passed. Yet the curse was not only of the body. The Sea King's magic wound itself around her heart, twisting tighter with each beat. Sometimes her skin shimmered faintly with scales. Sometimes her eyes flickered with an unnatural glow. She knew it was a warning, a reminder. Love will drown you. And still, she clung to Kalen. For in his arms, she felt warmth stronger than the sea's pull. He listened when she spoke of her world. He kissed her hands, scarred from walking, as though they were jewels. And when she asked him if he feared her, he only smiled. "I fear a world without you." Their love grew in secret, bold, reckless, and unyielding. Each kiss was defiance. Each night together was rebellion against the tides. But storms never stay quiet forever. Beneath the waves, King Thala's spies watched. Whispers of Serenya's survival reached the throne of the ocean, and the Sea King's fury had only begun to rise. The ocean's revenge, the sea is patient, but it is never merciful. For weeks, Serenya and Kaelin lived in fragile bliss, stealing moments of love in shadow gardens, whispering vows under candlelight, and pretending the world could not touch them. Yet every wave that crashed against the shore carried a warning. The ocean was restless. The tide grew higher with each night. The gulls fled inland, and then the revenge began. At first, it was subtle. Fishermen vanished at sea, their boats returning, empty, their nets torn as if by unseen claws. The harbors filled with dead fish, poisoned by currents black as ink. Crops near the coast withered under salt-laden winds. The people muttered of curses, of gods displeased. Kaelin recognized the signs before anyone else. He had seen storms, but never ones that brewed from a clear sky. He had felt waves, but never ones that clawed at the shore like hands. "It's your father," he whispered one night, as Serenya shivered in his arms. "He's punishing my kingdom." Serenya's heart broke. She knew he was right. The sea, king would not forgive. To him, love was treason, and treason demanded blood. But still, she clung to Kaelin's chest, whispering fiercely, "Let him rage. Let the waters rise. I will not leave you." Her defiance was brave, but the storm that came next was beyond bravery. It began with a roar, a sound that split the heavens. Clouds boiled over the horizon, black and swollen. Lightning cracked. The sky opened. Waves rose taller than castle walls, crowned with foam, their shadows swallowing the coastline. The kingdom's bells rang. Soldiers scrambled to fortify the harbor. Families fled inland, dragging carts, clutching children. Priests knelt in the streets, praying to every god they knew, and then the sea unleashed itself. Walls of water crashed into the shore, splintering docks, shattering ships like toys. The royal fleet, pride of Kaelin's father, was torn apart in minutes, dragged into the abyss. Streets flooded, markets drowned, horses screamed as they were pulled into the depths. At the heart of it all, rising from the waves like a god of wrath, came King Thalor. His trident glowed with the fury of storms, his crown sparking with lightning. His voice boomed across the city. "Give her to me." Serenya stood on the castle balcony, her gown whipping in the wind, her hair wild with salt. She looked down at her father, at the destruction he had wrought, and her soul shook with guilt and rage. Kaelin rushed to her side, sword drawn, though he knew it was useless. "You don't have to face him. We'll fight. No," Serenya whispered. Her eyes blazed with defiance. "This ends with me." She stepped forward, her bare feet leaving bloody prints on the stone. Every step was pain, but she bore it. For Kaelin, for their love. Lightning struck the battlements, stone exploding around her. Soldiers screamed as the tide dragged them down. Still, she walked. Her father's eyes narrowed as she appeared before him, fragile yet unbroken. "You dare defy me again." Serenya lifted her chin, her voice carrying over the storm. "I am not just your daughter. I am his beloved, and I will not return to the deep." The storm raged harder, as if the sea itself recoiled at her defiance. Choice of love, the storm roared, tearing the sky apart. Waves rose higher, lightning struck towers, and the city drowned beneath the wrath of the sea. On the castle steps, Serenya Oceara faced her father, the Sea King, a god carved of storms and vengeance. His trident burned with power. His eyes were black whirlpools, pulling everything toward destruction. "Come home, daughter," Thalor thundered. "End this rebellion. Return to the ocean, and the mortals will live." Serenya's heart shattered at the words. She looked back. Behind her, Kaelin stood, sword trembling in his hand, his face pale, but his eyes fierce. Beyond him, the kingdom burned and bled. Families clinging to each other, soldiers dragging the wounded from the flood. If she surrendered, the waters would calm, but she would never see the sun again, never hear Kaelin's laugh, never walk the fragile, painful steps on mortal earth that had taught her freedom. She would return to silence, to chains of coral, to her father's shadow. If she defied him, the storm would consume everything. The choice was hers. Tears cut down her cheeks, mixing with the salt of the storm. Her body ached, cursed, and fragile, but her soul blazed with a fire the ocean could not quench. She stepped forward, her voice rising over the thunder. I will not choose between worlds. I will not give you my love, nor will I let you drown his people. If love is treason, then I am guilty. But know this, Father, love is not weakness. Love is the strength that even the sea cannot wash away. The chord of the deep hissed from the waves. Thaler's fury cracked like lightning, his trident raised. Then you will watch both worlds fall. But before he could strike, Kaelin rushed forward. He dropped his sword, standing unarmed between Serenya and the storm. His voice was raw, desperate, but steady. If you must take her, then take me too. If she drowns, I drown. If she lives, I live. You cannot break us. The Sea King faltered. For centuries he had ruled with fear, with storms, with unbreakable law. Never had a mortal stood before him, unarmed, unyielding, offering himself to the abyss. The storm stilled, if only for a moment. Serenya reached for Kaelin's hand, her body shaking, her heart aflame, and together they faced the god of the sea, not as daughter and mortal, not as rebel and prince, but as lovers who would not bend. The ocean trembled, the waves hesitated. For the first time, the Sea King saw it, the truth he had denied for ages, that love could defy the tides, that love could hold against the storm. His roar shook the heavens. With one final strike of his trident, the sea exploded into light. The tides shifted violently the next morning. A crimson dawn spilled across the ocean, as if the heavens themselves were bleeding. Serenya Oceara stood upon the coral terrace of her father's throne room, her hair flowing like threads of silver fire in the early light. Her eyes searched the horizon, where the mortal ship had vanished into the mist. Her heart ached, her mind burned, her destiny waited. But her father, King Nerevan, summoned her with a voice that shook the very seabed. Serenya, he said, his crown forged of black pearl glinting under the beams of the rising sun. The Council of Depths has spoken. Your disobedience cannot be forgiven. You've placed the fate of our kingdom at risk for a mortal. She turned, her voice trembling but fierce. Father, love is not a crime. The surface world holds truths we cannot ignore. My heart knows this. My blood sings it. The courtiers gasped, whispers like the slithering of eels echoing through the hall. The king's face darkened, his trident gleaming like a storm about to strike. Love! His voice boomed, shaking the coral pillars. Do you not understand, child? Mortals are fleeting shadows. They live, they die, they forget. But you are eternal. You are the tide, the moonlight, the heartbeat of the abyss. You are mine. Serenya clenched her fists, tears stinging her eyes. Yet within her, fire burned brighter than fear. No, father, she whispered, her voice growing into a storm. I am not yours. I am my own. Her words struck the throne room like thunder. That night, Serenya swam to the Whispering Grotto, a forbidden cavern where the ocean itself spoke through currents and shadows. The water pulsed with strange lights, the walls covered in ancient carvings of mermaids who had dared to defy their kings. She pressed her palm to the stone, whispering, "Guide me, show me the path." The carvings glowed, and the voice of the sea, low, ancient, and filled with sorrow, rose around her. "Child of tides, daughter of fire, your destiny will break chains older than coral, older than bone. But beware, every choice bleeds. Every freedom demands a sacrifice." Her breath quickened. "Tell me, must I sacrifice my heart?" The waters shuddered, carrying no answer, only silence. The next morning, the waves delivered a sign. A bottle, tossed from the mortal ship, drifted into Serenya's hands. Inside was a parchment, soaked but legible. A single line was scrawled in trembling ink. "I will find you again, beneath the stars or beneath the sea." Kaelin, her heart surged. Kaelin, the mortal prince she had saved, had not forgotten her. His promise was carved into fate itself. She kissed the glass, her tears mingling with the salt water, and for the first time she knew love was stronger than fear, stronger than kings, stronger than the tides themselves. But Nerovan was not blind. He had spies watching her every movement. That night, as she returned to her chamber, he was waiting. His eyes blazed like the abyssal fires of underwater volcanoes. "You think you can defy me?" he thundered. "You will choose Serenya, the throne, or the boy." Her voice cracked, yet her resolve did not. "Then I choose love." The king's roar split the waters. With a single strike of his trident, he shattered the coral walls of her chamber, sending shards spiraling like deadly stars. "Then you choose exile." Chains of enchanted silver bound her wrists, burning her skin with every movement. The guards dragged her toward the abyssal trench, the place where outcasts were cast away, never to return. But Serenya did not weep. She lifted her chin, her eyes blazing with defiance. Even in chains, she was not broken. For she knew this was only the beginning.